In the first part of the video, we saw how you can build a basic rock paper scissors game. Let me show you again. When I click on this, we get a result displayed here like so, and again we have to refresh this page to play again. But we didn't had any score to update and to look on how many times we won the game and lose the game. So we have one of the more modified version of this, or we can say a bit advanced version of this. In this each round we play, the result will be incremented here, and finally the result, if I have more number of wins I will win like so. So let's see how what are the project that we're going to build in. So here when I click on this, it shows draw, and the draw gets incremented by 1. Again when I click on this, again it's draw and it's incremented by this. Let me specify here that we are going to build a project that has 5 rounds, and we can change this number of rounds according to us when you code this game. So let me again click on this, and you see I lost, so this loss amount got incremented by 1. And again if I play, it is saying draw, so draw gets incremented, and finally this one I won. So finally I got a result that I draw, because I had only 1 win and 1 loss, and all the rest 3 are draw. So the final result is this. So if I want to play again, so I can click on replay to replay the game, and you can see all of these are again set to default to 0. So that is what we are going to build in this project. So let's get started. So far so good. So till now we have created only this, that is when I click on this, it gets loaded like this, and we see essentially a result like this. So what we're going to do next is that when we do this, after 1 second this page will again reloaded to this page, okay, dynamically. Not this one will get refreshed, the page will not get refreshed, but when I click on this, it comes here, and again it will dynamically change the element without refreshing the web page. Okay, so for this we'll have to create a function here, that is a clear box. Let's say clear box like so. So let me declare or define this function here. So that is function clear box like so. So here what we'll have to do essentially is that we'll have to go for this division, that is this one, this total division here. And what we'll do essentially is that we'll delete these images now for first thing. So to do that, let's create a variable, let's say ELE. So in that, let's say we select the division in which we are going to delete, that is for we are using query selector, and that is that is resdiv. We are saving it in resdiv, in which we are appending these images. Okay, so after that we are going to select all those elements that are images. So for that we use query selector all. I'm going to use image like so. So now essentially this ELE will contain all the elements that are essentially the images and are present in resdiv. Okay, so for that, for deleting all of this, let's loop through it. So we'll use for let I is equal to 0, I less than ELE dot length like so, and I plus plus, and every time we loop to individual elements, that is whenever we loop through each image we'll delete that image. So for that we'll have to use ELE, sorry it's in small, it's ELE I, and use the function that is remove like so, and thus it is done now. So whenever we are going to click here, essentially you can see here the images that we got earlier got deleted now. So this is the only thing we wanted, because the thing we created is that whenever we click on this, essentially it will show this and again reload to this page. Okay, so for that we'll have to just make those previous components that we have created earlier, that is these components, to be visible. Okay, so for that what we'll do is that, let me again create a new variable that will represent to this divisions that we are going to show here. So let x is equal to document dot get element by id. So what is the id we have specified here? Let me check here. The id is components here. Okay, so we'll give here components, and that's it. Here it is a division it is going to show, and here we'll use a style attribute, that is x dot style dot display and we'll set it to flex for showing this. Okay, so now let's see what is happening here. So once I click here, this essentially it loads very fast, that it essentially shows that one and also shows this one. Okay, so what we're going to do is that for that what the problem is facing here is that whenever I click here, it is not showing the result of this too, because it is not waiting for that, it is simultaneously executing one after another, it is not synchronous. Okay, so to make that synchronous, we can use a function that is set timeout. So what we can do is that we'll want to run this function after 1 second. That is, I am using 1 second because we have to see that result what we got, either we win or you lose. So after that we are going to clear that box and display the original components like so. Okay, so for that I am going to use a function that is set timeout like so. And what is the first parameter it is going to take? It is a function. Let me write in ES6 only. So it will take, what function it will take? It will take clear box. So it will take essentially clear box, and this one I'll place it over here like so. And the second parameter is that 1 second that we are creating on. And what essentially this function says is that after 1 second you have to run this clear box, so that we can first see the result, and then the clear box function will occur. Okay, so let us check what has happened. So let me click here, and you can see it shows for 1 second and again loads up. Okay, so the next another thing here is that we want to remove this once it gets reload. So in the clear box only, let me go to clear box, and here we'll also go and we'll go for document dot get element by id. And what is the id of this? That is result. Okay, so we'll place it here, and we'll set this inner html to null, because we don't want to see here the result again and again. We want to just click on it and it shows us the result like so, and again 1 second it disappears and shows us the original thing. Okay, this is what we wanted, so this is what we can do here. So after that we are going to see about, so the next thing we are going to do is that add some bit of styling to this and this. So for that what you can do is that import the link file of css of bootstrap. So for that let's just head over to bootstrap's official website. Okay, so here we can go to the bootstrap official website, and here we can just copy this link here and just paste it after this link style.css. okay, so once I save it, you can see the changes here. The font of this rock paper scissors has changed, and these images are also arranged in the centralized of the screen. Okay, these are also centralized in the screen. Okay, so the next thing we have to do when we look under project is that we have a table like this. Okay, so for that what I can do is that you can just create a table here. So for that let me create a division first. So let me give a id of summary. So because I am giving this id a summary name, you can give any name, but I am using this because this will be a summary table which will show you what are the amount of wins we had and what are the amounts we lose and etc. Okay, so for that let me just create a table here, and each table will having a table row. The first table row will have table headings, that is wins. Okay, then we'll have lose, then we'll have draws. Okay, like so. And once you save it, we can see like this. Okay, the next row we're having here is the values, or the number of wins, number of losers and etc. that are predefinedly default, it is set to 0. So we'll set to 0 like so, and here we'll set it to 0. Okay, so this will be td and this will be set to 0. So let me copy it and paste it 2 more times. Okay, so like so and like so. So you can see here we have these wins, losers and draws as table heading, and this one as tds. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is that we have to just centralize this and add a little bit of padding in it. Okay, so for that what you can do is that add a styling here, and we'll add a padding of say 5 pixels, let's say. Okay, so then what thing we have to do is that we'll add some styling here, and what the thing we have to do is that give it a border, and we'll align it in the center of the web page. Okay, so for that, what you can do is that we'll first mention the border, that is solid. I'll specify of 1 pixels black. Okay, like so. Then what we'll have to do is that we'll have to give a margin like so. Okay, then we'll give auto. Okay, so let me just add here semicolon like so, and when I save it, you can see it is centralized and we are having a border of 1 pixels like so. So for that, what you can do is that we want some more spacing in between this. Okay, in between the table rows and the table headings. Okay, so for that, let me head over to style.css and add th comma tr comma td like so. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that add some padding here of maybe 2 pixels like so. Let's see how it looks. Okay, it looks decent, and we'll have to align this text here, text align to center, so that the zeros will be in the center. Okay, so this looks pretty good, and we'll add some of the border here like so. We'll have a solid 1 pixel black. Okay, like so. I'm done with it, I think so. Yeah, we have a pretty good styling effect here like so, as you can see here. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is that whenever we win, after it shows anything, so the next thing is that it will get updated here. Okay, so for that, what we can do is that, so let me just add it above this one so that we can have our summary table at the last. Okay, so like so, and let me just change this to h4 to be a bit smaller. So once I click here, you can see the result is being displayed, and the next thing we want to do is that update it and whatever result we see here. So in case of win, we want to increment it by 1 like so. Okay, so what we'll have to essentially do is that head over to main.js file here. Now the first thing I have to do is that let us just create a variable that is win and set it to 0. Similarly, let's create for lose, and let's create for draw. Okay, so once this is done, so let me just save it now. And whenever we are getting whenever we are getting a lose, we want to increment this variable lose by 1. Okay, so for that, what you can do is that, let me just add it here only. Okay, so what we'll have to do is that we'll have to just copy here, cut here and paste it over here, and we'll have to just increment this lose, okay, by plus plus. Okay, we have to increment by 1, and whatever the result we got, we'll have to update it here. Okay, so for that, we'll have to mention this table row a specific id. Okay, for that, let me just specify the first one as that is win score sc like so, and the second id let me specify as lose score. Okay, and the third id let me specify it as draw score like so. Okay, so whenever we are losing it, we are incrementing it, and the incremented value will be updated in this one. So we'll have this one updated in this division, or this id what we have mentioned here, that is lose sec. Okay, so the next thing we have to do here is that we'll have to update that. So for that, we'll go here for document.getElement by id, and here we'll have the lose sc, and we'll set this inner html value to lose. Okay, that's it. So whenever I'll get a lose here, I didn't get a lose here, but when I get a lose here, you can see it will get updated, but it didn't get updated here because I think so I made a bad naming convention here. So let me just search for it. It's lose. Okay, we'll lose it. Okay, so let me first make this for all, because I think this might not be the condition for which it is incrementing. So let me just copy it, and whenever there is a lose like so here, I'll just paste it over here, and again there is a lose here, so I'll again just paste it over here, and just again see when it is loses. Yeah, now it working. so it's draw, it will be not working. Then again if I go for a lose, yeah, you can see it gets updated every time. Okay, so the next thing you have to similarly do is that for win and draw. So for that, let me head over to here. Let me just see where is the draw part. Yeah, here only. So I'll add this one here. Okay, like so, and we'll increment the draw variable by 1 like so, and we'll be updating that value here, and the division or the id we have specified here, that is draw sc. Okay, so what we'll do is that we'll go for document dot get element by id, and here we'll paste that id we have mentioned, and this inner html will be set to draw like so. Okay, so every time I get a draw value here, this will be incremented. So if you see here, when I get a draw value, I'm not getting a draw value. Yeah, when I got a draw value, you can see here it gets incremented. So similarly you have to do for win also. So let me just go head over to win here, and let me just add here, and let me just cut it and paste it over here like so, and just increment the win plus plus like so, and we'll just update this id here. Let me see what the id I have given, that is win sc. Let me just copy it over here and head over to here, and we'll set it to win. So for that, we'll go to that id, that is document dot get element by id, that is winsec, and that is not winsec, that is winsc. I have referred it as win score. Okay, so for that is dot in html, and we'll set it to win. Okay, so whenever we win it, this value will get updated. So let me just copy it and paste wherever we have won this. So let me just paste it over here, and let me just paste it over here like so. So whenever I am getting a draw, it is getting incremented. When I'm going to lose, it is also getting incremented. When I'm getting a win, or when I'm getting a win, let me see for win. Yeah, you can see here it also gets incremented. So the final thing we are left with is that, we'll have to specify the rounds here. Okay, so I am talking about 5 rounds. You can do for any number of rounds you want. Okay, so let me just create a variable here, that is let number of rounds. Okay, let's say set it for default to 0. Okay, so each time this clear function, clear box will come into action, this number of rounds will get incremented. Okay, so each time this clear box will come into play, this number of rounds will get incremented like so. So when we are going to stop this and provide a valid or a essential result or the final result by seeing the summary, so this will be occurring whenever the number of rounds is 5. So for that, we'll have to specify if else condition. Okay, so here instead timeout, we can specify if number of rounds is less than 4. Okay, why I'm mentioning here 4, because it is starting from 0. So 0 1 2 3 4. Okay, at the 4th time when it gets executed, this will be the final time. If I am giving a value of 5 here, then it will get executed for 6 time, and then it will finally give the result. So as I want the number of rounds to be 5 only, so I'll have to specify 4 here. Okay, so if number of rounds is less than 4, we'll have to clear the box. Okay, else what we'll have to do is that we'll have to print a final result. Okay, so for that, let me just create a function that is final result, let's say. Okay, so let me just define this final result somewhere here. Okay, let me just specify here, that is function final result. Okay, like so. Okay, the next thing we have to do is that what will be the final result. Okay, so what are the conditions we need to check. Okay, so if the number of win will be greater than number of lose. Okay, so what will happen? So definitely what will happen is that we are going to essentially win. Okay, so for that we are going to use this same result only. Okay, this one only. So what I'm going to do is that we are going to specify here, that is whenever we are going to have a win greater than lose, we are going to specify that document dot get element by id, and this will be result only. Okay, the result dot inner html will be set to, that is you won. Okay, like so. We'll add some styling to it later on, but just let me only give the basic things first. So whenever we are getting value, that is when it will be the lose is greater than win. Okay, so when the value that is lose is greater than win, so here what we're going to have essentially is that we are going to lose the game. Okay, so for that we'll have to update this one to lose. Okay, like so. So when I save it, and the final condition will be else. For this else, we're going to have this one, that is when I save it, it will be drew. Okay, like so. So whenever I'm going to have this one, let me see what it happens first. So when I go for one, then I play for second, then I go for third, then I go for fifth. This one is the final one, I think so. Yeah, so finally it's displays as you lose. Okay, so now what I have to do is that whenever we are getting our final result, we want this division and this division to get disappeared. Okay, so for that what we can do is that we can just go here to final result only. Okay, not final result, we'll go for clear box. Okay, so here what we'll do is that uh, okay, let me just see what I can do. Yeah, so once the final result will get loaded, what you can essentially do is that we will clear these two divisions. Okay, so first thing is that we'll go for document dot get element by id. Let me see what is the division id we have specified about this division, and the division id is that res div. Okay, so let me just copy it and paste it over here, and here we can see dot style dot display will set it to none. Okay, so that's how it works. And secondly, whenever we are going to disappear this table also, what you can do is that we can copy this statement. Okay, and we'll just essentially place it over here, and we'll change this division. And let me see what is the division for this table I have mentioned here. It is summary. Okay, let me just copy it and let me just paste it over here. Yeah, that's it. We see here. So let me just see whether it takes the effect or not. So whenever I click on it, yeah, it seems us to be draw, then it seems us to be lose. It's the third round, it's the fourth round, and it's the final round. And you can see it finally shows up the final message and disappears the both the divisions. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is that essentially add a button here after it, so that we can click here and we can always restart the game from the beginning. Okay, so for that what you can do is that we can let's add a division first here in the index.html, and let me give it id, let's say as let's say give it as. Okay, and let me just create a button here that will say essentially replay. Okay, so let me give a id to it. Let's say it is, let's give it a id of restart. Okay, let's give it id of restart, and let me just add it to the center. So for that what I can do is that essentially you can add this division here. We have set to as, like so. So now this will be in the center, as you can see it here. Okay, so the next thing what you can do is that here whenever whenever you're going to click on it. Okay, so the web page should reload and the game should start from beginning. Okay, so for that what I can do is that, so let me just create a clickable event here first. Let me just copy it. Okay, like so, and let me just paste it over here. So let me see what is the id I have specified for the button, that is restart. Okay, just paste it, and this click will essentially come into action, and this restart function will get into action when we click this button. Okay, so for that let me just create a function that is restart. So let me just create a function that is restart. Okay, like so. Okay, whenever I click on it, the window should reload. So we use window dot location dot reload, like so. Okay, so essentially when I click on it, whether it is after the game or before the game, in intermediate of the game, also in the middle of the game, we can also reload the game. Okay, so when I click on it, and when I click on replay, so you can see it is again starting from the beginning, and all values are set to 0 only. Okay, so the next thing is that let me keep some styling to this button also. So let me just create a button here. I will add some background color here, and I will set it to black, and I will give it a color that is white. Okay, so let's give it a white color, and it's look pretty decent now though. Okay, let's give it a border radius of 10 pixels. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, it looks pretty decent though. Yeah. Oh, it's only going to have, okay, let's specify it important. We are specifying important because this bootstrap has its own thing. So if we want to override that styling, we have to specify important here. So as you can see, we got a little border of border radius of 10 pixels. So the final thing I have to do is that add some bit more styling to it. So for that, what I can do is that go to, yeah, here to the final result. So whenever we win this, so we'll specify with x, and what we'll do essentially is that we'll give a style of font size. Okay, font size will give it to 2 rem, so that we can see a better visibility of the final result. Okay, so let me just copy it and paste it over here. Okay, so like so. So then when I win, the result will be displayed in green. Okay, so result will be displayed in green. So for that, we'll specify a color that is green. Okay, so similarly, when I lose, it will be red. Okay, so when I lose, that will be red, and when it is draw, it will be let's give it a color like blue. Okay, so this is what is going to happen. So let's see our final project. So when I click on it, the first round, the second round, the third round, the fourth round, oh, I'm going to lose it. Oh yeah, you can see it is being displayed with a red message, and essentially when I click on replay, the game will start from the beginning. If you like my video, hit that like button and stay subscribed for future updates.